Charles is live in studio with those late details. Troy. Charles is live in studio with those late details. Troy.
Jordan, while temperatures have cooled a bit, there's still the strong winds that fueled many fires, causing a few new evacuation orders across the province. And we'll start in the Southeast Fire Center near Slocan Lake, where the entire village of Silverton now under an evacuation order due to the out-of-control Aylwin Creek wildfire. The order was expanded today for the community of just under 200 people north of Nelson, as well as over a dozen addresses in the surrounding area. It's now mapped at 400 hectares and remains one of the 4 wildfires of note across the province. Residents urged to leave the area immediately. A support center is available at the Nakusp and District Community Complex.
I actually got the order to sign the papers just about 6 o'clock. I've heard rumblings that we're supposed to get a little bit of rain, so I'm really hoping for that, with hopefully no thunder showers and wind to come with it. We need a lot of rain.
Next, we jump over to the Caribou, where the Moose Valley fire burning northwest of 100 Mile has prompted an evac order. Residents in the zone urged to take Highway 97 and head to 100 Mile, where an ESS reception center has been set up at the community hall. Jordan, just looking at the big picture across BC, currently 434 active wildfires, 87 of those started in the last day.
Holy
but
crap.
maybe some reprieve on the way
That's
BC wildfires,
pretty-
saying that by tomorrow across the
pretty
province, we will
insane
be seeing
how they had
the
to do that.
coolest temperatures in over a
Lots of
month.
wildfires burning in
Fingers crossed
BC.
for the best, Troy. Thank you. Fire crews are now taking advantage of those cooler conditions, but the fire danger is still high or extreme across much of BC. Alyssa Tebow has more from Ashcroft.
Flames are still visible from Highway 1. A reminder the Shetland Creek wildfire is still raging over the ridge, now estimated to be more than 22,000 hectares. It was discovered July 12, the same day this picture was taken of 2 lightning strikes in the same area the fire started.
This thing is coming right at us.
It's destroyed at least 6 homes in Venables Valley and is keeping the town of Ashcroft on alert.
This is a week now of really bad smoke we've had, and it does take its toll on people with breathing conditions, underlying health conditions.
BC Wildfire is stepping up preparations, setting up camp in Lillooet with incident management teams and ground personnel staying in tents and working out of trailers.
We are planning long term for the Shetland Creek wildfire to have resources stationed as close to the fire as possible.
The Dunn Creek fire north of Kamloops has triggered an evacuation alert after being discovered only on Tuesday afternoon. A new video from Williams Lake shows just how close the town came to disaster Sunday night. Utility crews are working to repair damage to power lines and other infrastructure, while fire is still smouldering inside the city limits.
This could have gone considerably worse, and I think if there's a silver lining behind it, it's hopefully a bit of a wake-up call to much of the community. Truthfully, this is the biggest fire that we've had in Williams Lake, and we were very close to it being a much bigger fire.
With so many fires burning across the province, we asked the BC Wildfire Service if they have enough resources. We are assured they have enough personnel. They had strong recruitment in the past year. There are also crews here at the moment from Australia, New Zealand and Ontario helping out. They're spread out across the province. The one thing that we're watching for right now is the weather. In Ashcroft, Alyssa Tebow, Global News.
In the Okanagan, the Sitcom Creek wildfire is still burning its way towards Sugar Lake, northeast of Kelowna. Residents on the east side of the lake were told to leave yesterday, while residents on the west side are also preparing for a possible evacuation. Making matters more complicated,
Holy
there
Christ.
are not a lot of ways to evacuate the west side.
The evacuation routes for the sites through the evacuation alert area are limited. So we just really want travelers to stay out of the area, don't travel through the area.
Open wood outside your house, put away anything on your deck so it's not flammable. Anything on your property or your neighbor's property, just try to look after it and clean up a bit for everybody.
The fire was caused by a dry lightning strike and has burned 15 square kilometers. Wind is not the only wild card in the forecast. Let's bring in meteorologist Yvonne Schell for more on that. Yvonne?
Jordan, we've seen a brief break from the heat. However, we're seeing the winds picking up and a big concern for the fires across the province. We are seeing it windy at times. Once again, for tomorrow, that range between 30 and a few spots could see those gusts of up to 50 kilometers per hour. Areas of concern across the central interior and the southern half and extending it towards the Columbia and Kootenay region. Also with it tomorrow, lots of instability. Now, the following areas are looking at the potential and the risk of thunderstorms. We'll be watching it across the central interior areas towards the north, as well as the southern half and even along the south coast. This will even populate overnight and take us in towards the morning hours. We'll be watching the lightning very closely through the day. Also very windy conditions, and then temperatures are going to warm up in the long range. I'll have more coming up very shortly. Jordan?
Yvonne, thank you. Global News has obtained a bombshell report detailing major cuts to transit service that are on the table if the federal and provincial governments don't step up with a long-term funding commitment. As Richard Zussman reports, those cuts could come as early as 2026.
It's a service cut poised to impact an entire region, unless something's done fast to keep TransLink's finances from running off the tracks.
TransLink.
What we're really looking for here today is to get all levels
This is
of
in
government to come
Vancouver.
together around a solution.
A new report obtained by Global News being released
They got
publicly
buses
Thursday
too.
shows what TransLink is grappling with for commuters. A $600 million annual shortfall still exists, and making this up would require all bus service to be cut in half, canceling up to 145 bus routes and all night bus trips, as well as reduce SkyTrain and C-Bus service by up to 30%, unless Victoria and Ottawa can figure out a new transit funding model by the end of 2025.
The impacts of those reductions would be tremendous and would cripple the region.
Eliminating the West Coast Express and reducing HandyDART by 35%, also on the table. The BC government has been providing pivotal relief since the beginning of the pandemic, but this ends next year. A decline in fuel tax, cancelled fare increases, and rising labor, fuel, and maintenance costs, all driving the challenges. These cuts poised to hit some communities harder than others.
Port Coquitlam, City of Langley, Township of Langley, even parts of Coquitlam, Lions Bay would all see upwards of 90% reductions in transit service. It would be very dramatic.
TransLink is also dealing with a change in terms of how people are commuting. Fewer people are coming to park and rides like this, and that means they have to change the business model.
We believe that we peaked in terms of how much revenue we were bringing in from fuel tax in 2022. We brought in $36 million less in 2023 than in 2022.
All this adding up to the potential of commuters being left in the cold with an election on the way in the express lane. Richard Zussman, Global News, Surrey.
Squeeze play indeed. This is an example of old-fashioned transportation politics taking place in BC. It used to be blacktop politics, all about highways. Now it's about transit politics and transportation politics within one geographical area. That's Metro Vancouver. And why it's so important, take a look at this. This is where the election is going to be fought and won, because TransLink services 52 of BC's 93 ridings. And that's about 55% of the total. The NDP currently holds 41 of them. And one area of agreement between the two sides is the need for Ottawa to step in and fund transit to a much greater degree than they are now. Look for Transportation Minister Rod Fleming in response to this report, not to suddenly say we're going to give you $600 million, but simply reaffirm a commitment to continue to negotiate to find a new funding formula. Even though elections on the horizon, I don't think the NDP government's suddenly going to fork $600 million over to the mayors when they made this request in the past. Keith Baldry, Global News at the Legislature.
Speaking of transit, Vancouver Council is teaming up with TransLink to reduce overcrowding on buses in the city. Council has unanimously